Welcome to another episode of Mid-10 Listens. This is Joshua Smotherman with MiddleTennesseeMusic.com, and we're going to try something a little different as we continue to grow and evolve and build. We're trying new things. With that said, today, on this episode of Mid-10 Listens, I won't be playing music. I'm going to talk to you about just some bigger concepts that bands seem to be missing out on, what I notice when people are trying to get our attention to review music, and just other things that I've done wrong that I can tell you from experience didn't work. Trial and error. That's what a lot of what I do is trial and error. A lot of what I've done with promoting music online has been trial and error. Try this, it didn't work. Try that, or try this, it didn't work as well as it should have. What can we do different and perfect that? But here's the one thing that I see bands doing the most, and it's trying to take over the entire world when you haven't even taken over your own city or your own state. So just because you're a band in some town somewhere and you have access to the internet and you have enough time to be on the internet a lot doesn't necessarily mean you need to be trying to take on the globe. Just getting on Twitter, setting up Facebook, setting up new MySpace, Last.fm, all the sites I consider a list. It's not going to do you anything. You need a plan, you need goals, but more importantly, you need to think small. You have to figure out first, okay, for instance, my group, Manchester, Tennessee. We're in Manchester, Tennessee. There's no hip-hop in Manchester, Tennessee. We're a hip-hop group. But we eventually, over time, connected with a few people who allowed us to come into their coffee shop and start performing our hip-hop. So now, things change and evolve. But my point is, I actually connected with these people on Facebook, and over time they heard about this group called Bunks that was from Manchester, which is the town their coffee shop is in, and as people who love all genres of music, the owners were more than willing to let us come in because they were able to go listen to us and check us out before hitting us up. They realized, hey, they actually make some decent music, they would fit in this venue. So you got to think small, you got to think local, and you just got to be yourself. You don't necessarily, some of the best connections I've made online and through promoting music that have helped my music the most, I wasn't even intentionally promoting music. It's just come from the natural evolution of hanging out in different places online, connecting with people who have similar mindsets as I do, who have similar goals, or who like similar music, or watch the same TV shows, read the same books. I mean, think about it. If you read a book, say there's this big #1 seller right now, like let's take for instance Twilight. I don't read fiction, but I'm just going to use Twilight because it's what popped in my head first. The power of pop culture, right? So say you enjoy the Twilight books. I can guarantee you there are several communities, forums, and online groups of people who are obsessed with the Twilight books. So what happens is niche marketing, starting small, starting local. And local doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I started saying Manchester, but local does not necessarily mean local your town, local your geographic area. Local can mean an idea, a personality trait, a mutual interest. So, for instance, Twilight books. You go and you start hanging out in these Twilight book communities. You start conversing with people about the books. You guys are going back and forth, analyzing different parts of the book, and people are asking questions, and you're in there talking. It has nothing to do with music. But what happens, you get to know people. You make friends. A month later or 2 months later, after you've been involved in this community for a little while and you've connected with a few people, you start talking to them via email. You start talking to them on Facebook instead of just in the forum. You get to know each other better. You exchange phone numbers and start texting and calling each other. The next thing you know, they realize you make music just because that's part of getting to know a person, and that's one aspect of you. So if you come into a situation, say a Twilight community, and you're all like, I love Twilight, blah, 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 I make music, go listen to me, no one's going to pay attention to you. But if you're in there, not saying anything about your music, you go in there and you just be yourself, and you talk about Twilight, and then as a side note. Or, another way you could approach it is, you go into the Twilight community, you get to know people, 2 or 3 months into it, you write a song, or you already have a song in your catalog that was inspired by Twilight, or written about the books or written about characters in the books. So then you post that to the forum. You share it with that community. Not immediately. I'm talking 3 or 4 months down the road once you've established yourself as an active member. Walk into a community, scream, I'm a musician, listen to my music, and expect people to listen to you. And that happens all the time. I don't know why you guys are killing us with this. You're part of the problem. Part of the problem. So anyway, and it doesn't have to be Twilight. It could be golfing. Do you like to golf? Do you like finance? The point is, you start local. Local does not mean geographic area. It just simply means go small. Find a niche. Find a community of people that share common interest. It's like you want to make friends, and then through making friends in online communities, you want them to naturally learn that you are a musician and you make music. And it's a good idea, like, what that adds to your marketing is 3 months down the road when you've been in a community for a long time. Bing. Oh, wow. He makes music? I never would have thought that. That's amazing. It gives you this mysterious wow factor. No one expected it, and all of a sudden, boom, you're a musician, you make music. And they've known you for 3 months. That happens a lot more than you think, but it's not like there's no magic button, okay? There's no magic button you push and you got fans. You have to do it just like everyone else. Just like McDonald's or Walmart or anyone else that's a multinational world monster corporation. They all started small and they built up over time, perfected their game, adjusted their plans, etc., etc. And you got to do the same thing with your band. Okay, that's enough about online. Let's talk about offline, local, niche marketing. Okay, so obviously you need to start in your hometown and your surrounding areas. You have to get out to venues. You have to connect with the venue owners or the booking agents at those venues. And you need to regularly play shows. If it's once a month, once a week, 2 a month, it's your career and your plans. So you get to make these decisions. I'm just trying to give you some guidelines here. So you got to start local by starting in your hometown, then the surrounding areas, then the surrounding bigger cities, and then states and states. Like a good, and I'm seeing this strategy pop up a lot actually with a lot of musicians I've talked to. You book shows within 3 or 4 hours driving distance from your hometown, so that you can book shows on the weekend and get back home in time to go to work on Monday morning. And a lot of musicians do this. They tour on the weekends, basically go on mini weekend tours, do 2 or 3 shows in a weekend in another city, come back home, go to work, plan out, got the next show planned for the next weekend, and go out. And not necessarily venues, festivals too. Depending on your type of music, festivals are a killer way to get in front of people. Actually, festivals are probably the #1 way to get in front of the most amount of people the fastest. But the point is, you can't be online all the time. You got to be offline. I'm talking offline now. And that's where the key is, because this is how you're going to sell stuff. You're not going to make money selling digital downloads on iTunes or collecting royalties from Rhapsody or Spotify or whatever. You're going to have to get in front of people, and you're going to have merchandise, and you're going to have to collect email addresses, and you're going to have to be yourself, be cool, be likable, and everything else will take care of itself. If you make great music, you got a great attitude, and people like you, you're going to be fine, but you have to get in front of those people. You have to stop spreading yourself too thin, and you have to start thinking local, and then you have to expand from the local to the global. So once you've been doing shows in your hometown for a few months, start trying to book shows outside. And as long as you got your promo game right, you can get on the internet, target promotions to the cities you're going to, and then hopefully draw some type of crowd before you even get there. You can at least make people in that area aware of your music and the fact you're coming to town before you get there, thanks to the internet. So you got to make your online work with your offline, but you got to think local. You don't get online and talk to the world. Get online and talk to your ideal fan. And when you're posting an update to your Twitter or your Facebook page, use the words you and us and we and our, and make everyone feel a part of the movement. Think local. Stop thinking global and stop trying to act like a rock star. I've spent my time today It's Mid-10 Listens. Head on over to MiddleTennesseeMusic.com for more info like this and some great music, reviews, interviews. All of our coverage of Music Tree Fest 2013 is getting published daily, so check that out. I'll see you next time. Peace.